and welcome to Friday night. It's Friday night. We're going to get crazy in here because it's the FF Champs After Dark, and we're going to sit here and talk about a live draft we have going on, 12-team PPR, and we're going to rip some of these picks to shreds. We want to have some fun with it. We hope you have some fun with it too. But let me bring on my two co-hosts first. First, of course, Mr. Andy Singleton with me each and every week, always providing the great info. Andy, how you doing tonight?
Jim, I got 1,000 things going on right now. You got me embroiled in this live draft. I'm trying to tweet it out. We got new software we're playing with, new websites I got to represent. I don't know what the hell is happening right now, but Shane is with us. Shane is a great fantasy football NFL draft expert, I might add. So I'm happy to have him on joining us tonight. But I'm trying to get my bearings. So you guys talk.
Well, you did a half-ass introduction of Shane. Of course, it's Mr. Shane P Hallam, a longtime friend of mine. We go way back in this. We've been doing this together for years. But Shane, say hello to the people. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hey, it's nice to be here. I appreciate you having me on, Jim. But I've been doing this for a long time. I do NFL draft, fantasy football, mostly dynasty stuff, and I'm Shane P Hallam. So if you haven't checked me out, please do. But it'll be fun to rip this draft apart because everyone except my team sucks.
Everyone but your team. I like your style there.
Was it really a half-ass introduction, though? I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of was. Yeah. Well, we won't talk about that. Got a couple people in the chat room. Hopefully we start to grow. If you're listening to us, thanks for coming out. Again, we are FF Champs After Dark, but we're going to whisper now so we don't wake the baby. Oh, screw that. Let's wake the damn baby. We don't care. We don't care. So we got this 12-team draft going on. It's a best ball draft. 12 people from Twitter, a lot of my friends, things like that. So a couple of, little ringers here and there in the draft. Jesse Reeves, Eaton Mosier, a few others. Of course, Shane, Andy, and I are in it. Devin Knotts from Football Guys. So, there's a few guys intermingled here, but it's a fun draft so far. We're into the 11th round, but we're going to start from the beginning, but we're not going to do it round by round per se. We're going to break it down team by team since we're already 10 full rounds into it. Just think will flow a little better. So let's start with the number one pick. Not Impressed 210 on Twitter. And, I'll throw this out to you both real quick. And I'll start with you, Andy. What's your thoughts on Kamara going first overall?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's just that top tier for me. So you want to put Kamara, Barkley, or McCaffrey at one of those, and even now Zeke with, hope that maybe this contract is going to get done. I'm fine with any one of those four guys going number one overall. I don't really have more to add.
I kind of feel the same way. Although Zeke right now, I'm starting to be a little worried since Jerry Jones opened his mouth and with a stupid comment that just pissed Zeke off again. So after the one pick, he comes around on the 2-3 turn, and he gets Adam Thielen and then Zach Ertz. I've seen Zach Ertz fall quite a bit in recent drafts to like the 4th, 5th round in most drafts. So I got to turn this one to you, Shane. What's your thoughts on Zach Ertz in the 3rd round right now?
Yeah, I don't think it's a good pick. I just think the Eagles have a ton of weapons, and I think the ball's going to get spread around a lot more than it has in the past. I think Dallas Goedert's going to get more play. So Zach Ertz, I've almost even dropped him below some of that next tier, the Hunter Henrys, Evan Ingram, O.J. Howard especially, those kind of guys. I was really surprised to see him go that early. He's almost like undraftable for me at this point, just of where he usually goes.
That's I'm glad right now. Greg's saying he should have went with Damian Harris of Kansas City. I probably would have, but Andy, what's your thoughts there?
No, I'm glad you said that, Shane, because I, took flack. Listen, these whole ranking things, we start early because people want ADP, people want rankings, all that kind of stuff. We make tons of updates between when we start back in some of us, April, May, June, July. By the time we get to September, there have been so many changes. But I had Zach Ertz at like my tight end 4. I had Ingram as my tight end 3 a couple weeks ago, and people were giving me crap. How can you have Ertz so low. I'm like, how is it so low? It's 4. And I believe Dallas Goedert is making a push this year. And I'm glad you just said it. Not to mention, everybody wants to believe Alshon Jeffrey's still a touchdown machine. And Arcega-Whiteside is supposed to be in this offense, and Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard. Like, everybody has a case for double-digit touchdowns. So, Jim, that's your reason for why I took Carson Wentz a couple picks ago in this little draft we're doing here.
Yeah, so damn early. We'll get to that later, but we actually have a question in from the chat room I want to get to from Arlo Grand. He wants to know who's going to be the biggest bust first rounder. Andy, I'll start with you. Who do you think the biggest bust first rounder is?
You know, this could go a lot of different directions. If you want to talk about the contract thing, it could be Zeke. If you want to talk about maybe buying into a little bit that this Arizona offense isn't as come around as we want to believe, then it could possibly be DJ again. I first round bust. That's hard to say, because to me, I think it's going to come down more to do with an injury that is just unpredictable and unforeseen at this point, than somebody that I see going in the first round underperforming. Maybe you can make the case Odell Beckham just not fitting in immediately right off the bat, or his feelings are hurt, or it's just too many mouths to feed in that offense. But I really like him this year as well. So I don't think a bust will be for underperformance. I think it'll be for lack of health, if you will.
How about you, Shane? Any guys you don't like in the first round, or you think have a chance to bust in the first round?
Yeah, look, there's going to be a bust in the first round due to performance, because there always is. There's always like 3. So it's going to happen. Not that I won't draft him where he's going, but I'm going to say Saquon Barkley. I think maybe that's going big, but here, look, he's supremely talented. He's a really good running back. I'm not knocking his talent, but when you go into a second year, teams have a little more film on you. I definitely could see the lack of scoring opportunities leading to a lack of fantasy points and some disappointing performances early in the season. And that's when people, then you start hemming and hawing. I think the expectations are so high for a young running back like that on what I don't think is going to be a good offense. And usually that spells fantasy trouble.
Listen, let me add this real quick too, Jim. It really depends on what ADP you're going with or what draft you're in, because I don't think there's necessarily a consensus back half of the first round. For instance, tonight, this draft we're in right now, I see Le'Veon Bell going in the first round. I don't know that I'm comfortable with him being a first rounder. So if you want to say that's one of the guys that could potentially bust, I would say.
Well, I was going to until you did.
Okay. Well, there you go. We think alike. But yeah, so to me, it depends on who you're listing as those 10, 12, 14, 16 guys, however deep your first round is.
Yeah, I was going to say Bell. Look, I keep getting crap because I put James Conner over Bell. And it's not that I think James Conner is a better running back. It's just the system. Pittsburgh's system is better than the Jet system at this point. All the surrounding players around Bell in the Jet system are worse than what they have in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I see people taking Bell in like pick 4, pick 5 sometimes, and to me that's just nuts. I can't do it. That's just way too low, and I just can't do it at that point. I have to go deeper, probably in the second round. Maybe I think about it taking him, but I am worried about that offensive line. I am worried about the surrounding players. So if I'm picking somebody in the first round, I think to be a bust, it's going to be Bell. So let's keep going. Let's get back to the draft and start ripping Greg's picks off some more here. Oh, Andy's on the clock live. So in round 4, he came back and got James White and then Sony Michel. Interesting combination. But, Shane, what's your thoughts here? You think this is a good strategy in best ball to grab these 2 players from the same team?
I actually like the strategy in best ball. In classic traditional, this would be a nightmare. But I think in best ball, this is good. I think there's going to be some games where James White's going to get a ton of receptions. Now, then he'll start for you. I think there'll be some games where Sony Michel gets a couple of touchdowns, then he'll start for you. I think my fear is that these are your two running backs after Kamara, and he's going to wait a while, and most of us would, for a fourth running back. It's just I don't think either of them are going to be dynamic. I think James White's going to take a step back. He almost has to, with how much, a focus he got, especially with Josh Gordon back. So I think it's a good strategy. I think it'll help in best ball, but I don't think you're going to win a championship. I think these are kind of safer plays in a best ball format.
Well, I'm a little lower on White this year than everybody else seems to be. I'm just not sure he can replicate the numbers he had last year. But I actually like the idea of going with him and Michelle at that turn. Again, it's best ball. Almost always one of them is going to have a good game and the other one won't. But it should alternate enough that you're going to get a good game from both of them almost every week. So I don't mind the strategy at all. Let's keep going. Some more picks he has. So after those two guys, he comes back in the 6th round for Emmanuel Sanders. And then he goes on a little wide receiver run here. He goes Emmanuel Sanders, Jarvis Landry, Michael Gallup, and James Washington. Ooh, I can't wait to rip apart that James Washington pick. But let's start with Emmanuel Sanders. Andy, what's your thoughts on Emmanuel Sanders in the 6th round? Are you buying after one preseason game?
No, I think that's a little too early. I like Flacco being there. I think that definitely helps him. But I think Deshaun Hamilton is underrated still. I think Cortland Sutton is going to have, or has to have, a bigger impact. And while Emmanuel Sanders is a feel-good story right now, he is a little long in the tooth. And, I just think I would have a hard time trusting him to stay healthy. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not, predicting injury or anything like that. I'm just saying for that kind of draft capital to take an aging player who relies on, the type of lateral agility that he does, that's something that scares me a little too much.
I get it. And there's definitely, risk there. There's no doubt about it. Coming back so quickly from a torn Achilles, I get that. There's definitely, but man, it looked like we saw videos of him about a month ago that showed that he was running very good. He was able to cut, and he was doing what he needed to do a month ago. And on the field, he looked fine. I didn't see anything from his game that showed that he wasn't going to be ready to go at this season. Now, of course, there's a chance of re-injuring it. I get that. But I have no problem taking him. I just don't know if I could take him in the 6th. But again, we say it all the time. ADP be damned when you get into a real draft. You got to go get the guys you want. And that's what he did. So, I don't want to rip him too bad because we have been ripping him pretty good so far. But Sanders. I do want to talk about the James Washington pick. I'm not a James Washington believer. I think that there's absolutely a chance that this guy is not going to do much again this year. I know he's having a great preseason. I don't care. Preseason against number 2s, number 3s with the backup quarterback doesn't do anything for me. The fact of the matter, he was out there playing. Dante Moncrief wasn't when they had all their starters sitting. Shows me that Dante Moncrief is the guy to have here, not James Washington. There's some inside the organization that believe James Washington has already fallen behind Deontay Johnson on the depth chart. So James Washington is just not a guy I can get behind.
I want to know who your Steelers sources are, because Shane, if you haven't been paying attention since we started the show,
that came from ESPN, buddy.
Well, okay. I mean, they're like the MTV of sports now.
But that's okay. But it came from ESPN. I mean, it is what it is. They said a guy in the people in the organization. So who knows? It could be the water guy for all we know. Shane, I don't know.
Jim is a James Washington hater, but the absolute anti-truther, and they share a first name, which is absurd to me. Like, not even partial credit for James Washington based on that fact alone. But I mean, what's your take on James Washington?
I mean, I'm in Pittsburgh. If you want to know, if you want to know what's happening here, I think Jim's right. but I don't think it necessarily makes him right for fantasy, especially in a best ball long term. Dante Moncrief's the number 2. I think that's pretty clear. And the reason why I think you hear Deontay Johnson possibly is over James Washington is because those 3 receiver sets. Washington's not going to play in that slot. So it's going to be Johnson or Switzer splitting that. Washington's the clear kind of number 4. So that makes it a risky pick, right? I think it's just your belief in Dante Moncrief. Like, is he that good? Will he continue to be that good? Is he going to stay healthy? Because we haven't really seen that too much in his career. So I think James Washington's a swing for the fence, especially late in the season. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, when he started, he didn't start the season as a starter in Pittsburgh his rookie year, and this is Washington's second year. So I think it was a little early to take him. I think it's risky. He could do nothing. But if Moncrief goes down or if he's not performing, I think they'll slide Washington in there quick, and that could pay dividends. You got all those Antonio Brown targets just waiting. So someone's gonna get it.
Isn't it Vance McDonald?
Oh,
somewhat, but
Xavier Grimble, buddy.
Yeah, I like Grimble.
As the offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh said, like, Vance isn't going to play every snap. They're going to do some 2 running backs with Jalen Samuels. They're going to do a lot of 3-4 wide receiver. So don't expect Vance McDonald to be top of tight end snaps in the league. I think he'll do well, but I just, I think you have to temper expectations with him too.
All right, let's not go over my draft then.
Well, let's move on to team 2. We ripped on Greg enough. Bill Sargent is up at number 2, and he was lucky enough to get Barkley at that number 2 spot to start. Then came back with Pat Mahomes in the second round. Ooh, Shane, what's your thoughts on Mahomes in the second round this year?
You just can't do it. Patrick Mahomes is a phenomenal talent, but I think it's going to be very difficult to replicate what he did last season. We talked about that with James White. I think as a quarterback, he can still put up good numbers, but for the second round, I mean, we're taking quarterbacks in the 10th, 11th round, 12th, 13th round, actually, now that I think they're going to get pretty darn close, and probably at least one of them will be better than Patrick Mahomes in fantasy. Just wait, man. Just wait. You don't need it.
Yeah, you really don't this year. I mean, there's so many viable options this year. It isn't funny. No other quarterbacks were taken till round 4. And then, basically you have to wait till round 9 to get the 5th quarterback taken. So why take one in round 2? I know it's Pat Mahomes. I know he had a great year. He's got to regress a little bit from that. There's only been 350 touchdown seasons in the NFL. I doubt he does it again. I'm not enamored with that pick this year. I'm not saying it's a bad pick because there's been a league or two where I've taken him early, but it's usually in the 3rd, not the 2nd.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to ask you guys. So how would you feel about taking Mahomes in the 3rd or even the 4th? And the reason I say that is because this is the 23rd pick. He's coming back up at 2 more picks after this. So you could kind of say, I'm going to overpay by 2 spots. That's really my 3rd round pick. I just don't want to lose out on him. Do you feel better if Mahomes is a 3rd round pick?
Yeah, probably. But again, it's not like I've done that a lot. I think I've done it one time just to try something different. And that was a league where I drafted Kelsey 1st, Damian Williams 2nd, and Patrick Mahomes 3rd, just to see what my team would look like and just to see what that stack will do by the end of the year. I'm on the clock real quick. So, guys, pick it up for me. We got after him. We got Damian Williams, Robert Woods, and Tyler Boyd. Talk that one up, guys.
Well, I was just going to talk on the Mahomes thing because I think this is a fascinating topic and debate because, we've seen everybody clamoring for how deep the position is, especially in single QB leagues. And it certainly is. Do I think Mahomes is going to throw 50 touchdowns again? No, I definitely think there's regression. But even if he regresses by 10, we're still talking about a 40 touchdown guy, which puts him near the top, if not the top of the position again. So if you're going to swing for the fences on QB, you're going for Mahomes. I don't think it's debatable. I think he's the number 1 fantasy QB that you'd have to take. So if that's your guy and you want to secure him, you're going to have to take a risk somewhere. So I don't have a – go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think he's a clear cut number one, but that's not swinging for the fences. You know what the ceiling is already. The ceiling's last year. That's not swinging for the fences,
Right? But
let's talk about these next couple picks because I think that's the reason why the Mahomes pick isn't good, right? Like you get Damian Williams now as an RB2, and the receivers, in my opinion, are trash because you took a quarterback too early, and your running back depth is shot. I think this team doesn't come out very good because you took that shot too early, and the points per game differential is just not going to be that high. But with teams that waited till the 12th and 13th and took two of them.
Yeah, but see, I would argue against that as well because now you're looking at Tyler Boyd and he's got AJ Green, so you should have the number one receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, which figures to be different. You got Robert Woods, who everybody loves. You got Cortland Sutton, who I was talking about before. Marquise Goodwin, who everybody seems to have forgotten about. Corey Davis, who everybody's definitely forgotten about. And we're looking at hopefully an improved offense in Tennessee. So I think you have some good, viable, wide receiver options in this offense now. And we're talking about a best ball scenario. So Mahomes throws 5 touchdowns in a week. That is a week winner for you. I'm just saying. I think if you're going for it, you can rebound better in a best ball.
You're on the clock.
You're on the clock. I already got screwed over on my last pick, so you better get in there and make your pick.
I'm going.
So let's see. The next guy's up for him. Let's see. Okay, so he got Damian Williams. Everybody knows I love Damian Williams. I'm all over him. The kid did everything they needed him to do at the end of the year. He's the starting back now. I'm not worried about Darrell Henderson, anybody else. The only thing I'm possibly worried about is injury. You can worry about injury for everybody, so I'm not really worried about that. I like Damian Williams. I have him a ton. So what's your thoughts, Shane, on Damian Williams? How do you feel about him? Are you strong on him or are you not?
I'm not, and I don't necessarily think he's going to be bad. Like I don't think I hate Damian Williams. I just always feel like there's running backs I feel a little more safer with, or I feel like the risk is worth kind of the reward with Damian Williams. So I don't have him on many teams. I just haven't really kind of run into him. I think the offense is really good, and that's probably why if he's the starter full time, no problem. He's gonna be beast, but I wonder if they just kind of sling the ball around as much as possible, and that could be an issue for him. So I'm not off him. I'm not on him.
That's what he excels at, though. So I'm as my running back 2 after Barkley, I'm okay with that. I just can't stand the Ronald Jones pick. That's your RB3. I think that was too much of a gamble to take. I have a bigger issue with the Ronald Jones pick than the Damian Williams one.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I was really hoping that Jones would take that job and run with it this year. I've never been a big Peyton Barber fan.
Well, who has?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But the fact that he still hasn't, he's still been lukewarm down there, that really has me bothered. But who are you talking about? Where does he have him? I can't see him.
I don't know.
All the way down at the 10th round. Oh yeah, okay.
But that's your RB3 there.
Yeah, right. But he's got some good receivers, especially if AJ Green only misses a few games. The Woods boy.
Hold on, Shane just said the receivers were trash, and then you're saying they're good. And I was
no, wait. I said okay, and as I'm reading them, I'm starting to backpedal a little bit.
You got to pick, Jim.
I got to pick again, man. I'm going to get so
screwed. Got 10 seconds.
Draft. Do I?
Yeah, this was your idea, by the way.
It was my idea. I got to pick. I had to get a quarterback because you guys went on a freaking vicious quarterback run.
Yeah,
we screwed me over on quarterbacks. Screw you guys. I was like, wow. I looked up at the draft board. I'm like, wow, look at all that damn pink. A lot of quarterbacks just went off the board. So this should be interesting to see how I can rectify this at this point. It'd be interesting at the very least. And that's why I like doing these things. These things are fun. You can have a lot of fun with it. Trying to do 18 things at once is always a lot of fun. Of course, you're listening to FF Champs After Dark. I am Jim Day. You can follow me on Twitter at FantasyTaz. You got Mr. Andy Singleton here. You can follow him at Peoples with a Z pen. And of course, Shane Hallam. You can follow him at Shane P Hallam on Twitter. So please make sure you do that. If you guys are listening in the YouTube room, please give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, whatever you want. Get involved. You got any questions in the chat room? Give us a question. We'll answer it for you. Whatever we can do. We want to make this fun for everybody, not just us.
Gregory just wanted us to. He thanked us for ripping him up. So.
Yeah. Gregory's a little off kilter. He's always in our frenzy room. He's part of the Goon Squad at the FF Frenzy show at FNTSY. So I'm glad he's here watching us. It's a lot of it's good to have the guys cross and get to know some other people. So I like that. Okay, so let's get back to this draft, and I don't have to pick for a while, so I'm good.
We could give him the Kenny Stills treatment. They just play 8 straight Jay-Z songs.
Oh God, let's not go there. So let's go to Shane's team.
Yeah.
Pick number 3, get Christian McCaffrey. Definitely nothing wrong with that. Comes back, he gets Stephon Diggs, then Marlon Mack, then Chris Godwin. Let's start there. What's your thoughts, Andy, on that first 4 picks?
On those first four picks for Shane?
And you know what? We got to speed this up. That's only team 3, and we're almost half hour.
We're looking at Shane's team now?
Yeah, we're looking at Shane's team.
God, this is crap.
The league winner.
He goes McCaffrey 3 overall. Come on, that's a steal actually. Miles Sanders, who people have in Canton already. I'm looking at these receivers here. I don't love Tyrell. I know that's one of you guys, Jim. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. Ebron, I don't really love Eric Ebron this year. What do you got? 17 tight ends when you include Funchess in Indianapolis.
That's okay. Ebron is still going to be the red zone guy.
I like
that's what you want in best ball. You want that guy he doesn't have to give you 15 points a game.
I don't know
that you want is those 20-point games.
Yeah, I don't know that that's guaranteed though. I love the Mac.
Well, it's not guaranteed with Luck being hurt. I get that.
Man, those are some nice running backs though. You got McCaffrey, Mac, Sanders, Geis, and Hines. That's not bad. I like the Diggs pick. I like the Godwin pick, of course.
Ooh, here's some feedback from the chat room. Ebron was a bad pick by Cody Dean. He doesn't like that pick at all.
Yeah, that's my guy right there, Cody Dean. I'm with you.
Cody's picking on you. You don't like it. Look, in the 8th round, I probably might have waited a little bit longer, but I don't hate him in best ball at all. I think he's still going to be a red zone threat. I like the other guy a little better, but he's still going to be a red zone threat. So I don't hate that at all. But to your point, Miles Sanders, I'm not as high on him as many. He's still got some things to learn, and while he is explosive, it is going to be a committee. I don't care what anybody says. Geis in the 5th. I need you to explain that, Shane. Are you a believer in Darius Geis, even behind that offensive line?
I am. I'm a pretty big believer in Geis. I honestly think that I think what we saw yesterday kind of put me a little bit more at ease to feel like he's back from that injury. And I know the talent is there, watching him in college. Like, I know it's out there. So for me, as a running back 4 or kind of a running back 3+, I feel with Sanders, I think it's well worth that risk, that kind of upside swing. I really feel like now I feel comfortable. He's going to be the guy while he's healthy, and we've seen that he's healthy. So, yeah, Washington, it's not going to be the best offense, but I think they're going to want to run the ball. I think the offensive line's not great at pass blocking. I think it's a much better run blocking offensive line, and their defense is pretty good. So I feel like they're going to go to that old school ball of run, play D, and to me, that's going to benefit Geis. And whoever the quarterback is, I think all 3 of them are going to be checking down often, and I think we might actually see a lot of receptions from Geis. It's something that he's pretty good at.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy. The only thing I have against Geis now is not the fact that he got injured, but the fact that he had so many setbacks on the way getting back here. And that's the part that bothered me the most, is that, it just wasn't a clean repair and get back and get ready. And now add in the fact that Trent Williams has said he won't play for this team anymore. And it looks like Eric Flowers is now going to be your left tackle. I love that. I can't wait till the Giants play Eric, so they can reintroduce themselves to probably the worst left tackle in the freaking game. If anybody was ever meant to be a guard, it was that guy, because he is definitely no tackle. Man, that's kind of rough for you. And that offensive line is definitely scary to me right now, and I don't know if I could buy into it. But then again, it was bad last year, and an old man like Adrian Peterson got 1,000 yards when that team was terrible. So we'll have to see how that can happen. But let's keep going. We got some more. Oh, I think I'm coming up on the clock here soon. Let's see. Go to the next. Who's up next? What else you got there? We got Marvin Jones, Tyrell Williams. Look, I don't mind Tyrell Williams in the 10th round in the best ball. He's going to have some big
Wide
games.
receiver 5.
Yeah, right. He's going to have some big games. I definitely don't have a problem with that. I like Naheem Hines where you got him. I don't care what all the talk is. He's still going to have his role. He had a great season as a rookie catching the ball, and I still think he's going to get there. Goff and Winston, 2 good quarterbacks, and then your 2 and 3 tight ends are Herndon and Gesicki. I'm not a huge fan of Gesicki, but I like Herndon, even with the 4-game suspension. And I'm still not on the clock. Okay, waiting for Michael here. Come on, Michael, so I can get back to it. So not so shabby, Shane. Not so shabby at all. Good thing. So let's get to the team for RD Random. Started out with Elliott, Gurley, and Fournette to start. Shane, what's your thoughts on starting out with 3 running backs there?
Whew, hey, yeah, I like 3 running backs. I think you get better hopes he comes back. I thought it was a little early to take him with the uncertainty that we have. Like I couldn't take him up in that that top 4 anymore, unfortunately. But I think a real steal with Gurley late in the second. It's risky, but if Zeke comes back and Gurley does what we did last year, you're not going to have a better pair. And you could win this league. The Fournette pick, I just don't know why you go with that 3rd running back. It's going to hurt your receivers. You're going to be down a peg, and I think that's a little bit clear with this team. So that's kind of the one where, yeah, it might be good. Yeah, Fournette can slide into one of those flex positions, but I think receiver is going to really be lacking, and that's an issue.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. I like the first 2. I'm not a big Fournette guy. Like I always say, he's the leader of the 2 eyes. And what I mean by that is injury and idiocy. He leads in both. So I'm just not a big fan. I love Gurley at that late part of the second round. I'll take that any day. I'm still a believer. But then he does follow it up with 3 wide receivers in Golladay, Allen Robinson, and Larry Fitzgerald. Another wide receiver I love again this year is Fitzgerald. If that offense is going to be any bit better than it was last year, a lot of it is going to run through Fitzgerald. Do you guys like Fitzgerald at all? I'll start with you, Andy. What's your thoughts on Fitzgerald? Do you think he bounces back this year?
Yeah, I mean, bounce back. I don't think he's been horrible. He's just gotten older. So, yeah, I like him. I'm fine with him. I think there's some safety and reliability there. But I am on the clock in any second.
So
now.
I'll go to Shane then. Shane, okay, your thoughts.
No, I love Fitz. I really like getting pieces of this Cardinals offense. I know everyone's freaked out the last preseason game and whatnot, but I don't think they're showing their offense at all, and I think that's fairly obvious. So I think you're getting even better values, and Fitzgerald's one of those guys that just keeps falling because people are like, he's too old, but man, he's going to catch everything. If I'm Kyler Murray, I'm not just throwing it to Fitz if I get in trouble, right? Like that's an easy out. So I think the team's going to be up tempo. They're going to run a lot of plays. That means a lot of catches for him. So I like the Golladay, Robinson, Fitzgerald. I like all 3 of those players. I feel like it just lacks that one stud to really anchor it, but it could work out. I think Fitz is going to be good. If Golladay takes a big step forward or Robinson takes a big step forward, then those 3 running backs could work out.
Man, I used to love Robinson, back in the day when he's with Jacksonville and scoring touchdowns, but those injuries just really depleted him. Hopefully he's fully healthy and can bounce back, but I'm not sure I'm ready to bet on that.
Well, I think we've seen guys coming back that next year from ACL, unless you're Adrian Peterson, it takes a year plus adjusting to a new offense. Those are 2 things he doesn't have to deal with this year. So maybe there's more upside than I even feel like with him this year.
But I do like what he did after that because he comes right back and he goes for three of the rookie running backs, trying to get some of these guys that are in the news a lot now, and that's Darnell Thompson, Tony Pollard, and Justice Hill. Now, out of those three, I really like Justice Hill. I think he fits the offense in Baltimore a little better than Mark Ingram does. So I'm kind of interested to see what happens there. Tony Pollard, I mean, he has value only if Zeke doesn't play. If Zeke plays, and Pollard has no value because he's not going to take the ball out of Zeke's hands.
Yeah, but I disagree because they're trying to incorporate him in that offense. That speak is real. Tony Pollard was a nice compliment to Darrell Henderson at Memphis. Pretty under thought of coming out because so much emphasis was placed on Henderson as he shot up, but his production was across the board. He was a big weapon in that offense as a receiver and a runner, similar to kind of not as prolific, but similar kind of to what Jalen Samuels was to Nyheim Hines at NC State, where they just had two good running backs and let's figure out a way to get both of these guys involved. I think that's how they looked at Pollard when they took him. This is a special teams guy as well. So he's definitely going to be involved in Dallas with or without Zeke. I
don't think fantasy wise, at least not early on.
I think you'll be surprised.
No, I don't get me wrong. I think the kid's talented, but how often are you going to take the ball out of Zeke's hands if he's healthy and on the field? I can't do it too often.
I think his value hinges more on how effective Randall Cobb is in that offense, more so than what Ezekiel Elliott does.
And I'll jump into Jim could pick. I think the fact that Zeke is on this team, this fantasy team is good too, right? So now he's covered. Now you're covered with Pollard. If Zeke doesn't come back, he's going to get that standalone value. If Zeke does, it's not too much of a waste. And if what Andy said, if Pollard has some games with 5-6 catches, he could end up in a flex position. So, if one of these three rookies hit, those running backs are good. If for some reason all three of them don't, then I think you're going to be in some trouble.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Man, it just tried to shut me out again, but I snuck it back in. Screw it. Don't really love my quarterbacks, but I got three of them, so I'm okay with it. But we'll see how that works. Let's see. Let's get back into this. Let's go to Team 5, which is Jesse Reeves. Jesse is, if you haven't heard of him, he's a very good podcaster, does a lot of good things. He's a smart individual, and hopefully soon we'll get him on the podcast with us to talk some football. So he starts out, he wanted to go with those wide receivers. He started out with Hopkins, Antonio Brown, and Keenan Allen. Now, I love the fact where he got Keenan Allen, pick 305. I love that. Antonio Brown, I mean, that's the big discussion these days. So I'll let Shane, tell me what your thoughts are on Antonio Brown right now.
I think he's fine to draft. I think he's going to put up good numbers. I know he's a head case, and I'm happy that he's not in Pittsburgh right now. But that being said, he's going to be on the field. I think this helmet thing, there's no way you're just going to be giving up, $10 million for a helmet issue. He'll begrudgingly do it and play. The frostbitten feet sucks, but he's pretty much back from that. So they're going to force feed him the ball. I think that's going to happen, and he is still really talented. He's still not very old. It's like he's 35 out there. So I think it's a great pick at that point. If you get him as your wide receiver 2, and if him and Nuke do what they did last year, even if Brown takes a step back because it's in Oakland, he's going to put up big numbers still.
Well, he should definitely, once he's on the field. See, the problem I have with Brown is that the fact that he's missed so much practice time with his new offense, with his new quarterback, that I think he could get off to a slow start. And because of that, to me, I don't want to draft him now, but if he gets off to a slow start, I'll be out there looking to see if the guy that does have him is ready to move. If he's, starting to think that maybe this was a bad idea and it won't work out, maybe he could scoop in and get him for 50 cents on the dollar. I don't mind trying that strategy, but right now I'm just a little leery of drafting him. Just with all this crap going on and, him being an idiot. And I don't know, maybe it's the bleach from his mustache going to his head. I'm not sure, but something is definitely going to his head. I'm not a big fan. And then Jesse comes back and gets Melvin Gordon in the fourth round. Now this could be a league winner getting him in the fourth round, but do you think? And I'll start with you, Andy. Do you think he's going to be in and ready for week one, or are we looking at a protracted holdout here?
First of all, the Antonio Brown thing, I think, is the biggest ongoing joke that he's playing on everybody at this time. He knows where all the cameras are. He's very well aware of what's going on. The frostbite is over. The helmet is not going to be an issue. It doesn't matter right now. He's making his point right now where it's irrelevant. It doesn't affect anything he's doing at this point. He's going to be fine. He's turning out to be one of the biggest values in fantasy football this year. I have no issues with Antonio Brown whatsoever. I do think Melvin Gordon, though, is a very scary situation in case. I think he's probably looking at somewhere in the 8-game neighborhood, which I believe would be the max that he could miss and still come back and get what he needs to get in order to secure his free agency. But that scares me way more than the Ezekiel Elliott holdout, and I think Melvin Gordon lasts well into the season. So that pick really scares me a lot, especially giving up a fourth-round pick.
And that's it. That's my problem too. Shane, what about you? What's your thoughts on Gordon? You think he's going to hold out, or do you think he'll be in camp and ready to go?
Nah, he's gonna hold out. And I don't blame him. I don't blame these running backs for going and trying to get their money because this is it. This is the only chance he's gonna have. Next time, he's not gonna have anything. So, I don't think he's gonna be there. The fourth round, I can't take him there. I just can't do it. If maybe it could be a steal, and after going receiver, I think his team Jesse needs him because if Jesse doesn't have Melvin Gordon
at that point, right?
Yeah,
exactly
I mean, he's swinging for the fences, and if he gets it, then this could be like winner. But for me, I'm just passing on Gordon. If a guy's not in camp, I'm not drafting him. I'm just not drafting him until he is. I'm playing safe.
And it's funny because this team, Jesse, he's going all out on wide receivers. He's got 8 of them already. Well, he's only got the 4 running backs, which include Jordan Howard, Rashad Penny, and Peyton Barber. Not, I like Jordan Howard this year. I'll take Jordan Howard because I think he has a good chance to score a lot of touchdowns behind that O-line. Rashad Penny should have a decent year, but, it's still clearly Chris Carson as the number one. And if Chris Carson is going to be catching more passes, that's going to mean a little less for Penny. But Barber, man, I just can't get behind Barber. I just can't. I can't get anywhere near Barber.
I don't want to say this is the most trash stable of running backs, but this is the most unassuming.
Jesse, he called your running backs trash.
It's just the most unassuming. Like this defines meh. Like this is like. Well, who do you get excited about here?
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. He's going for it all and hoping it works out and hoping his wide receivers carry him. He's got a good stable of wide receivers. Got 2 good quarterbacks in Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson. O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate. So he's trying to lock up Tampa Bay's tight ends. It's a different strategy, I got to say. So let's move on to Team 6. Rotowan, Mike, starts out with Juju Smith at pick 6, comes back with Dalvin Cook and Kerryon Johnson, and then Brandon Cooks, Calvin Ridley, and DJ Moore. So let's start with those. Shane, what's your thoughts on that 6-pick start?
I like it. I thought that he did well in terms of value with a lot of these picks. Juju, I really like. Once again, as we talked about with Pittsburgh, those Brown targets have to go somewhere. His targets are going to go up. I think my favorite pick was probably DJ Moore, where he got him. Cam Newton, the foot injury doesn't seem terrible. Maybe he misses a game, but I think DJ Moore is in line for a really good second season. And then I'm a big Dalvin Cook fan this year. It's risky. It's risky. I would have liked to see him try to go out and get Alexander Madison too. But I think Dalvin Cook could be the RB1 at the end of the year, could be number 1 overall. This offense, you look at Minnesota, this last preseason game, they're running up tempo, no huddle. So you're going to have a lot of plays for Dalvin Cook. It's even with the two receivers, this is still a run first team, and it seems built that way. They're balanced. You can't stack the box. I think Cook is a really good talent. If he stays healthy, I think he's that guy that can be a league winner.
So let me ask you guys a question, because I worked today, and as I was getting off duty, we were at a gas odor, and one of the guys coming in, we were crossing over, and he says, walks up to me and says, "Let me go over my draft strategy with you. Do you think it's crazy to assume that Dalvin Cook will be a first-round pick next year?" And that's how he's drafting him this year. And I didn't think it was that crazy. So
Definitely
you were
not
talking about
crazy.
Dalvin Cook as a guy that you like a lot this year. Can you see him being a first rounder next year?
I think he could be a top 3 pick next year.
Wow. Okay.
He's got that ability.
Yeah.
Now it's just on him to stay healthy and stay on the field. We know he's got the ability. We've seen it. We've seen flashes of it. And I've always been a Dalvin Cook guy.
He definitely does. And this guy was Zeke, the class after Zeke.
Yeah, right.
That's what
He's just got to stay on the field and prove it. But I'm with you. I've come to a point now where I'm really leery of all the running backs in that second round, beginning of third round, because every single one of them has a serious question mark, whether it be injury like him or Fournette or Devontae Freeman, even a little later, or it's can they hold up over the long course of the season like in Damian Williams? All of these guys have some kind of serious question marks. Joe Mixon, is the offensive line going to hold up with all the guys they've been losing to that? I mean, to lose your first round pick that early, your new tackle, it's supposed to be this great big guy that really going to anchor the line that early, has got to hurt. And then they had 2 other guys who retired. One of them was supposed to be a starter. So that's a little bothersome. So all those guys in there have something that they have to worry about. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. So let's keep going. We got the Roto one. Who else? So after that, he comes back after those receivers. And DJ Moore in the 5th round, I'm still not sold on him in the 5th. I'd much rather have him in the 6th. Some guys on the board I'd much rather have over him at that point. But he does come back with Latavius Murray, who I do like in the 7th round. He's definitely going to have his own role and do well with it. So I don't have a problem with that. And I'm almost on the clock. But I want to get your thoughts on Henderson, Darrell Henderson for the Rams. What are your thoughts here? Do you think, and I'll start with you, Shane, do you think he does anything?
I think they wouldn't have drafted him as highly as they did if they didn't believe that he was going to have a role in this offense. And I think it might not be, Todd Gurley replacement. I think it could be Todd Gurley complement. We saw in the playoffs last year, CJ Anderson come in and have to do some work. And I think the goal this year is maybe we don't run Todd Gurley down all season, and we can actually bring in Darrell Henderson for some of these passing downs and let him catch the football. So I think there's big potential. This is an offense that's still going to score a ton of points. And to get any piece that's going to be on the field for a decent amount of snaps, I think is worth it. I don't know if I'm drafting him at his ADP right now of where he's going in redraft, but I do think he's a player that's going to see the field, and I think he's going to have some big games. And best ball, it's not a bad shot to take.
Yeah, and I just had to make my pick. Sorry, folks. Yeah, I agree. In best ball, I take that shot. What the heck? I mean, I could be wrong, but the problem I have is that I'm not sure he's the true handcuff. And actually, I think I just took the true handcuff, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's keep going. We want to get to, Eaton's team, number 7. Starts out with James Conner, like that pick a lot. Then comes back with Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, and Tevin Coleman to start. So, Andy, what's your thoughts on that start? Is anybody there that sticks out that you don't want? Or why are you making all these crazy noises, dude?
Because I'm on the clock. Hold on.
Okay, then I'll go to Shane.
Back to back.
Shane, what's your thoughts here on that start?
I don't think it's bad. I don't mind James Conner there. I think he's right in that range. I kind of like the Evans Cooper stacked together. I do like that.
Not worried about the foot injury for Cooper right now?
It seems like it'll be all right, and I don't think it's anything long term. Everything I've read seems to be that he's going to be back, and they're just kind of precautionary with it. So I'm not too worried. Probably the Tevin Coleman pick is the one I don't like. I think Matt Breida might just beat him out. Matt Breida's been really good for them every year, and no one really expects it. So I'm almost kind of down on Tevin Coleman and where he's going. But I don't think it's a bad start at all, though.
I did a little piece for Sports Illustrated on Breida and basically called it "Don't Sleep on Matt Breida."
Definitely don't sleep on Breida.
I think he's a better running back than Coleman to begin with. Coleman has gotten the chance before to be, the bell cow back and did nothing. Well, okay, not nothing, but he didn't do what was expected of him. I think, he's going to get the shot to be that guy, but I just think Breida's going to end up beating him out or just having enough of a big enough role that you're not going to get any value for where people are taking Coleman right now.
I got a few things to add. And first of all, nice casual name drop there. A little piece for Sports Illustrated. But
yeah, you know what? Hey, look, it's in the pocket. I got to do it now. If you didn't know, Full-Time Fantasy is now providing the fantasy content for Sports Illustrated. We're also going to be doing a lot of stuff with Jim Kramer over at the street called Bull Market Fantasy. So we got a lot of stuff going on over at Full-Time Fantasy right now. So
sometimes
you got to throw it out there. I was just contacted by them just last night asking if I wanted to do the cover of these the swimsuit issue.
Sometimes you just got to lay it on the table.
Yeah, really.
Nice. You'd have to in the swimsuit issue. Then. I could see it.
So,
I'm on the clock again. I'm getting screwed.
I want to go back to this Tevin Coleman, Matt Breida thing. I don't know that he's a better running back. I think they're different.
I do.
I think they're different. I think they're different types. Tevin Coleman is more of that speedster, and Matt Breida is more of that grinder. And I know he was frustrating to a lot of owners last year with his game time decisions and everything like that. But Matt Breida showed a lot of character, a lot of heart, a lot of toughness. I love that. I love that in a player, and he won my heart over with that. I definitely think he's underappreciated, and it took Jerick McKinnon getting hurt again for people to want to buy into Breida, but I've been buying him wherever I can prior to the McKinnon news this offseason. So I'm happy to have shares of Breida. I think Tevin Coleman definitely has a role. I think Breida could be that Devonta Freeman type for Shanahan, and we could see what he ran in Atlanta with Coleman and Freeman, just now with Coleman and Breida in San Fran. And I like them both a lot, to be honest. I would be fine with either or both in a best ball scenario, but I think they're both going to be very productive this year.
So let's keep going. So who else are we talking about here? So after that, he comes back with Evan Ingram. I love Evan Ingram this year. He's got John Brown and Sammy Watkins. Look, the only place I would ever draft either one of those guys is in a best ball league. So good picks. Those are the kind of guys I want, guys that are they're only going to have 2, 3, 4, maybe good games a year. But that's all you're really looking for is you're looking for those guys that'll give you that high ceiling on a couple of games. Consistency, sorry, Mr. Bob Lung, but consistency is not your friend in best ball. You want guys that are going to give you a few high games a year, and the rest of the time they're not going to be in the starting lineup. But then he comes right back and grabs another guy that I really love, and that's Devin Singletary. I was hoping to grab him and waited one round too long. Singletary, LaShawn McCoy, he might have something left. I haven't seen it in a couple of years. I don't know if anybody has. Outside of that, you got Frank Gore there. I think Devin Singletary is absolutely the best running back on that team right now. And I think it's not going to take long for that to really show. And I love him there. What's your thoughts on that, Shane? What's your thoughts on Singletary? How did you rank him coming out for the draft? What were you looking at?
It's interesting because I actually didn't like him coming out. And I think there's been a couple players for me this year that I didn't love coming out. He was dominant. But I got a little caught up in those combine stats, not just the 40, but, a lot of the flexibility stuff. But watching him in the preseason, he's doing what he did in college to NFL players, and to me, that's okay. This guy can just play, and I'm down. Like, I'm with you. I'm drafting him now because I think he's better than LaShawn McCoy at this point. And even if McCoy starts the season, Singletary, I think, is going to get there. I don't know if this offense is going to have a ton of scoring opportunities, but I think something that we have seen and something that I do take into effect is those rushing quarterbacks that can run. Usually those running backs do pretty well because it's tough to game plan and have a defense for both those things. I think having Josh Allen is going to really help Devin Singletary. I think he's going to get that job by midseason, and he could have some big games.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think there's some definite big games in his future. So let's keep going. Let's we up to now?
I don't get to chime in on Devin Singletary, one of my favorite players.
Grumbling. Why didn't you just speak up then? You never stopped you before.
I know. I just wanted to have like a drum roll it out. I don't have a Sports Illustrated card to play, so
that's the only thing I don't like about this software is I can't mute you if I wanted to. Damn it.
Damn it is right. No, I was just gonna say Devin Singletary. I think people wrote off because of a bad combine, but they were looking.
That's why I hate the combine.
They were looking for him to be somebody he's not, and he's a good. I mean, he's got incredible shiftiness and lower leg strength. I just think it's too crowded, but I do agree with you guys. I do think he wins out sooner than later. Just because he is the future, and I think that we'll be eager to get that going. And I think he's too talented to hold back. One of the other nice things about the combine, I want to say it was wide receiver, but they asked him if he wanted to take reps at a different position. I want to say it was wide receiver, and no hesitation, no nothing, and that could have just made it worse for him. Because it's something he wasn't unfamiliar with, and did it well, and got a lot of praise from scouts and coaches for, just that willingness to do something out of his comfort zone. So that was another kind of under talked up, attributes.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of the combine just because it really doesn't show you a good football player. It can show you good athletes, but it can't show you a good football player. We've seen plenty of guys over the years that have killed it at the combine and done nothing in the NFL, and vice versa. We've seen plenty of guys that have sucked at the combine and come in the NFL and killed it. So, I've never been a huge fan.
We've seen the opposite too.
Like I said, but both ways. Goes both ways. I agree.
Right. So, I think it's a piece of that puzzle. You can't take it as everything. But I think sometimes you get scared of that flexibility in a running back. Like Devin Singletary could have come in and not had the change of direction ability to last in the NFL. I think we've seen the preseason. He has it. And then I think that's fine. You can change your opinion when you see him play.
And that's it. I don't know. I've never been a big fan. It is what it is. Let's keep going. So let's go on to Michael's team, Stepney 71. Started out with David Johnson, who I love and has slowly been creeping up my draft board pretty consistently. Then comes back with Joe Mixon, then George Kittle, and then Edelman Kupp as his first two wide receivers. So even though he got the Kittle in the third round, he's still got two good wide receivers that I like. And he got a couple of others later in D.D. Westbrook and Jamison Crowder. D.D. Westbrook has had a good camp and is now starting to show off in the preseason. So hopefully that works. Seems he have a good rapport with Nick Foles. Jamison Crowder, he's not really a guy I normally would take in a best ball league just because he's not really going to have too many big games. He's one of those consistent guys that you probably have a decent floor with every week, but he doesn't really give you too many shots at a high ceiling. Andy, what's your thoughts on Crowder and D.D. Westbrook? Either one of these two guys palatable for you?
I see a lot of people hyping up D.D. Westbrook right now. Somebody, I forgot who, so sorry for not referencing you, but tweeted Foles is going to shove more balls down D.D.'s throat that he's going to be, I forgot what it was, but it's something to the point of he's just going to be just constantly looking at him. So I'm buying into the hype a little bit. I've seen a lot of people, mentioning Didi and just how he fits what Foles likes, and they don't really have any other great receiving options in that offense. So it's just kind of, the opportunity is there for him. I like Crowder as well, but Crowder, I kind of, I kind of gave up on. I wasn't really a huge fan of his coming out of college. He surprised me. I thought he I thought he played a little over his head in Washington, and again, kind of fit that role, that opportunity that I was just mentioning about Dede Westbrook. I think we saw Crowder come back to earth a little, and I don't think it was so much how bad the Washington offense was, just kind of more so who he really truly is. So I like what the opportunity presents in New York, but I just think this is Robbie Anderson's offense and Le'Veon Bell's offense and Chris Herndon when he comes back from suspension. And those are the guys I'm looking at. So I'd take Westbrook over Crowder for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely take Westbrook over Crowder as well. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Shane, any thoughts there?
I think Dede Westbrook is safe. I think he's going to get targets. I don't think the offense is going to score a ton of points. So I think he'll have some okay games, but I'm not sure he's going to do much. I think a lot of these early picks after David Johnson, I feel like we're just kind of safe picks. Like, Joe Mixon's going to do something. He's probably not going to be amazing because that offensive line. Julian Edelman, Cooper Kupp coming off injury. They're good receiving options. They're probably not going to kill it. So for best ball, I almost think that there's not that swing for the fences in these early picks that really can put you over the.
Yeah, and that's my concern as well. Okay, so now get to my team. I'm at number 9, and I'm going to let you guys take it. I started out with Devontae Adams and Odell Beckham, came back with David Montgomery and Devontae Freeman, then Mike Williams, and then Hunter Henry. Start with that, and Andy, go for it. Knock yourself out.
Shane, start. I'm on the clock.
Yeah,
I'll
start. He's on the clock. Jim's got to put out fires in the chat room.
What's going on?
All going great. It's all going great. No, Jim, I think your draft started well. I think it was an interesting look at kind of those top 2 wide receivers. What happens when you go Devontae Adams, Odell Beckham? I'm not the biggest Beckham and even Cleveland offense fan, but I think it worked out because those next 2 running backs are key. And David Montgomery into Devonta Freeman, I think are 2 good starting running backs. Like David Montgomery, you almost have to buy in now. The hype is there. The talent is there. The production in college is there. Like this guy is going to get the ball. He's going to get carries. He's going to be the RB1. They're already talking about Tariq Cohen, less time on the field. Let's give his rookie some stuff. I think that offense is going to be good. And man, Freeman seems like just a steal at this point. Like he just keeps falling down for no reason on a top flight offense. Maybe the injury last year, but it was so early on. So
yeah, recency bias. The injury last year has been killing him. People, and then he had missed a couple of games the year before, so all of a sudden now everybody, he's injury prone, and you know what, people, that's a freaking nut, idiot type of analyst that would say something like that. He had a couple of freak accidents. He's fully healthy now. They say he's moving like never before. I hate when they say that, but they're saying he's looking really good and fresh, and man, I love getting him in the 4th round. I think he's a guy. And David Montgomery is a guy I think right now is going to end up as a top 12 running back this year. I think he's got that kind of talent. And in that offense, I think he could really boom and bust from there. Mike Williams, look, he's a boomer bust player every week, kind of guy I like. Hunter Henry should be about the same. He was always a red zone threat with Phillip Rivers, and they have a good rapport. So I like him. Came back with Duke Johnson. I'd like to get your thoughts on Duke Johnson. Shane, what's your thoughts on Duke Johnson?
I like him. I'm interested to see what role he's going to have. Getting in there that late sometimes could be an issue, but if I'm Houston, man, I'm tossing passes at this guy over Lamar Miller, trying to get him in at receiver. I think there's a lot of places he can go. What do you think, Andy?
I like him a lot. I think he takes over more he's in a better situation, I think, for sure, than he was in Cleveland. And that's at any point in Cleveland. And he's been super productive in that. He's got arguably the best quarterback he's ever played with. In Watson now, he's got more of an opportunity as a runner and a receiver. I like it a lot for him, for that offense. We were all I was mentioning this last episode that we did. I was, we were all kind of assuming or hoping or wanting him to go to Tampa Bay. And I don't really remember hearing too many people mention Houston. And all of a sudden when it happened, it just was like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. So I think it was a win-win for both player and team. And I'm excited to see what he can do in this offense.
Yeah, me too. I definitely thought that was a great move for Houston because I think he fits that offense perfectly.
Yeah, and going back to the Mike Williams thing, I love that pick. I was taking flack from somebody recently on Twitter because I had Mike Williams as like my wide receiver too. I think he's got tremendous upside. I think he's just started to get going and find his rhythm. I mean, this was a 7th overall pick, and place what you will in draft capital and draft stock, or how good the wide receiving class was or anything like that. But 10 touchdowns in his second year. He's that kind of a playmaker. This is a Clemson wide receiver. We love those. 3rd-year wide receiver candidate. I mean, there's just so many things in this guy's favor. Tyrell Williams, who we were talking about, is gone, so it's should just be him and Keenan Allen. I think he can definitely be, I don't want to say a lock, but I feel very comfortable with him returning to double digits and in the touchdown department and being a 1,000-yard receiver for the first time in his career this year. So I think he's somebody that we definitely look at differently next year.
Okay, so let's keep moving on. We talked about several of the other players on my team, so we don't need to go there. Let's go over to, although my wide receiver, my quarterback trio is, wow, deathly bad. Trubisky, Garoppolo, and Stafford. Wow. Not really enamored with that trio there, so we'll have to see what happens with that. But let's go on to KV He Hate Me. That's a nice name. It rolls right off the tongue. Pick 10 goes Michael Thomas, comes back with Kelsey, and then Aaron Jones and Derrick Henry, Alshon Jeffrey, and Sterling Shepard. Andy, what's your thoughts on those top 6 picks?
Let me pull up his team. Sorry. Give me 1 second here. I'm sorry.
Yes, you are.
I know. I really am.
You're doing 18 other things while we're doing a podcast.
I can't. No, I'm doing your things. You give me too many things to do here. I can't even find this guy's team.
He had Michael Thomas, Travis Kelce, Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry. Start there with those 4. We'll keep it easy.
Okay, I got
What's your thoughts on those 4? Michael Thomas, Kelce, Aaron Jones, and Derrick Henry.
Michael Thomas, Kelce, Aaron Jones, and Derrick Henry. I like it. I would only want one of the Henry or Jones at that spot. I think I might have opted for another receiver at that point. I do like Michael Thomas a lot. We were talking about backing into a corner with Mahomes early on. You kind of do the same thing at tight end, but I can make so much more of an argument for tight end. It dries up so quickly again this year as it did last year, at least for the comfort level. I mean, there are a bunch of guys you want
who could do something. You're just not sure they will.
Right. And then all of a sudden you feel like instead of just having one tight end and now I can grab a couple of these other wide receivers or running backs I'm interested in, you're all of a sudden you're like, shit, I got to load up a tight end now. And now you're just, gambling. So I like the security taking Kelsey, but you kind of you put yourself a little behind the 8 ball going that early. I think Engram is the line in the sand I'm drawing in that top 4 with Kelsey, Kittle, Ertz, and Engram. And then after that, it's like I said, it's a guessing game. But I just took Henry and Jones in a league earlier today that the 5 Yard Rush podcast is doing. And it was really more because I had 0 shares of them anywhere. So I like that little stack, even though I don't think if I had any money on a team, I would take both of them.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They're both. I like Jones, especially in best ball, because he's going to score touchdowns. That's definitely what he did last year. He's going to get touchdown opportunities in this with this team. Henry, it depends on whether or not they feed him the ball. We saw last year that he needs those 20 carries plus to really get into his groove and really get going. You give him that many carries, and he's going to be productive. We'll have to see if they actually do that. After that, he's got Jeffrey Shepard. He picked up Josh Gordon. Okay, let's talk about Josh Gordon. Everybody's talking about Josh Gordon. Shane, what's your thoughts on Josh Gordon? Are you buying or are you selling or are you just throwing away?
Look, I think for redraft, I'll buy him, especially best ball. I'll take a shot. I think that kind of saved this team. Not that it's bad, but I think when getting Josh Gordon where he got him after Michael Thomas, the upside's there. And so it really rounds this team out nicely. Like, he's on the Patriots. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. I don't think he's going to be consistent, but this is your lottery ticket. And so I'm fine taking him. Maybe it's a little bit early. I'm probably going to wait too long, to be honest with you. Like, someone's going to draft him before I do. But hey, if he was on a different team, I don't think we'd be drafting him. There's just so many red flags of what could happen, and he's kind of been out of football. Even last year, he showed some flashes, but wasn't very consistent. I don't know, man. It's a really hard peg because we just don't know. Is he as fast as he was? Is he slowed down? So I think the upside is there, but I think the downside is really big. You could do absolutely nothing.
I don't think he does nothing. We'll see. I definitely don't think he does nothing, though. So we only got a couple more teams, so let's jump over there real quick. Devin Knotts, football guys. Let's see. He starts out with Le'Veon Bell at pick 11, comes back with Tyreek Hill and T.Y. Hilton, and then Mark Ingram and Austin Eckler in the 5th. Ooh, Shane, what's your thoughts on Austin Eckler in the 5th?
I'm fine with it. I am, and especially because he got Justin Jackson later. So I think you're basically saying Austin Eckler has standalone value. Let's say Melvin Gordon does come back. I don't think it's going to happen. He at least has enough standalone. 5th round, no, but he at least has some standalone value. If Melvin Gordon's out, then I think Eckler does get a good chunk of those snaps. His snaps will increase. Jackson will get those as well. So I'm actually fine with him in the 5th if that's kind of your plan. And I think what Devin has is a very good plan with this draft, right? You got Le'Veon Bell, you kind of got your stud running back, and then he pounded a really nice receiver group with Hill, Hilton, and then hey, let's go as that RB3. Let's just get that Chargers kind of stack and make it happen. So I'm actually fine with it. I think it's a nice swing, and I think Eckler's more talented than people give him credit for.
Oh, I think he's talented, but I'm just not sure. 5th round to me, that's just a little too early. Especially if Gordon only misses a few games. I get it that he does have standalone value. Justin Jackson is the one, whose value totally, craters if Gordon is there. Then he has nothing. I get that. But 5th round, just too many other guys I like more that I would take there. So I look, that was his plan. And, it's good that we don't all like the same players because then this game would be boring as hell. But it's interesting. He does grab a couple of guys I really like later in Curtis Samuel and Dante Moncrief. And then he gets Golden Tate then too in the 12th round. Look, he's going to have a 4-game suspension, sure, but when he comes back, he's going to be heavily involved in that passing game. And, I don't care at this point if it's going to be Eli or Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones, one thing we've seen from him is preseason is he throws a nice ball. He throws a much nicer ball than Eli does at this point. Heck, he throws a nicer ball than Eli's thrown in 5 years. Eli's known for that duck that he loves to throw. And so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So let's go to Andy's team, number 12. We're going to end it after this. Julio Jones to start, then comes back with Nick Chubb, Justin Jacobs, Chris Carson, and Philip Lindsay, although I don't think he wanted Philip Lindsay.
I didn't.
Okay. But so let's talk about the first 4. Andy, what's your thoughts of going with those running backs heavy early, and then trying to make it up on your wide receivers? Talk about that a little bit.
I think there's a dearth of bell cow wide receivers. So outside of those first couple of rounds, you're just throwing darts, especially in a best ball league. The running backs are the ones where I feel like you can get a little bit more consistency. Not to go back to that, and another shout out to you, Bob Long, but I just felt safer with some of these running backs, and where I don't know that I'd want to stack them all like this in a non-best ball league, because I wouldn't want to have to choose between which of these guys to start on a week-to-week basis. The fact that you just look at Carson, Chubb, Josh Jacobs, and Lindsey at the top, and you're like, yeah, two of those guys are going to be good week in and week out. So I was happy to, pound that heavy. Chubb, I wanted. I didn't, I knew he wasn't going to come back to me in the third round. So it was, reach a little, if you want to consider 13th overall reach. But I was really, really, really debating starting out with Julio Jones and Odell Beckham there at 12 and 13. But once I started going running back and I was just looking at the names on the board, it was just like, yeah, give me Jacobs, give me Carson here. That's a three-headed monster I can live with. And then the Lindsey one was the auto pick. So whatever. If that's my fourth running back, I'll take it.
Okay, so one of the wide receivers I want to talk about on your team is, of course, Dante Pettis. Haven't heard great things out of camp. Having a bad camp, had a lot of drops. Doesn't seem to be building a rapport with Garoppolo. Talk to me about Dante Pettis and what your thoughts are there. Actually, wait, don't you? I want to hear what Shane has to say about Dante Pettis.
I'm scared. I'm scared. I think Deebo Samuel might be better than Dante Pettis. And
he is.
Yeah. And so, what's going to happen? What's Pettis' role going to be? Because now you have the running back. You have Tevin Coleman, Matt Breida is going to get this. George Kittle's the wide receiver one, essentially. I think they're going to want to use Deebo in a number of different ways. And Pettis is kind of that. He's going to be the deep threat, I think, only. And so I think his ADP's fallen. I think he's still being overdrafted, to be honest.
Yeah, look, I like the kid. I think the kid is going to work his way into being a very good wide receiver. If you watch him, first of all, he gets in and out of his breaks so quickly and so cleanly. He's almost always creating separation, gets off the line of scrimmage against press very easily. He does a lot of really good things right. And he's never been known as a guy who drops passes in college. He didn't have that problem there. I'm starting to think, and this is the theory I've been floating out there, is that I just think that the way Garoppolo throws the ball is a little different. He's not used to it, and he's just getting on him. All the damage he did last year was with Nick Mullins. It wasn't with Garoppolo. Garoppolo was already hurt by that time. And I think, one thing that we don't ever talk about, but quarterbacks throw the ball differently. There's a lot of different quarterbacks that throw it differently, especially if you're talking a left-hander. That's just different all told. But even righties can throw the ball differently. They, some guys just have no touch, and all they do is throw rockets like Brett Favre, things like that. So there could be some play here. But I think that Pettis is going to be a good wide receiver. I'm just not ready to buy into him this year until we see this offense running and who the wide receivers are really the guys standing out. Man, I'm having a hard time buying into any of these guys at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And, I do want to thank everybody who was in the draft. The draft is over. I do want to thank you all for coming and drafting. Some of the guys had problem with auto picks going on, and I'm sorry about that. I couldn't take care of it during the show. But it was a good talk. And let's go through the teams. I want you guys to pick who you think has the best chance to win it all. And I'm going to start with our guest, Mr. Shane P Hallam. Which team would you pick out of this bunch to win it all?
Yeah, I didn't even know we're gonna get there. Personally, just from kind of what we talked about, no, I like. Let me go back here. I think I like Roto Juan's team myself. I like the Juju pick in the first round. I liked where we got DJ Moore. I think Delaney Walker, Mark Andrews, tight end's fine. I think Cam Newton will be back. And then I think those running backs are what's going to win it for. I think Dalvin Cook, Kerryon Johnson, even Latavius Murray. I think he's a pretty good, well-balanced team. I think he could win it all.
How about you, Andy? Who's your choice?
I'm gonna go with my fantasy league rankings here, and
Don't do that. Those are terrible.
Well, I came in third, so I'm gonna say I'm close enough to the top.
I love it when I come in last on those stupid things. Those things are the worst things ever.
Why wouldn't I?
Even those, because their rankings suck.
No, I was gonna say, why wouldn't I think that my team was gonna win? 18th round, I got Jacoby Myers. Done.
Yeah, the best law firm in New York.
There you go.
Look, I'm with Shane here. I think Rotowan has a good all-around team, no doubt about it. Not many holes at all. I love the fact that he got Ian Thomas late. I definitely think he's going to get on the field at some point because I'm not really sold that Greg Olson is going to stay healthy all year. So I think he's got a good, well-rounded team. If I hadn't gotten caught by that damn quarterback run, I would have liked my team a lot better, but I definitely got railroaded there. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Rotowan, good job. Everybody, good job. Thank you for coming out. And of course, you're listening to FF Champs After Dark. I am your host, Jim Day. Of course, my co-host, Andy Singleton, and our special guest, Shane P Hallam. Shane, tell everybody where they can find you, what you got going on.
Absolutely. You can find me over at fakepigskin.com. I'm doing a lot of Devy articles. So if you're not in a Devy league, it might be something to check out. So I'll be doing a lot of college stuff and that kind of thing. But follow me on Twitter at Shane P Hallam. I'm always happy to help and tweeting dynasty trades and all that kind of stuff. So it's good times. Have me on, guys. You guys rock, and I enjoyed being on. It was a fun draft and fun show.
Okay. Andy, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at People's Pen. My name is Andy, but People's Pen, People's with the Z is the Twitter handle. You guys should know that by now. Follow me for everything I'm doing. I have a lot going on from this show to other shows to my newly relaunched website, Expand the Box Score, and
which everybody should really be checking out. Expanded Box Store.
Well,
you're doing a great job over there.
We got some good content, some good articles up, some good podcasts. But more importantly than that, it's about data. And we have college data that you can't find readily available for what we offer it at. And we have a college football DFS tool up as well now. So for $15 for a full year subscription, you can be ahead of the college football charge like never before. We have NFL coming, all sports as well. So go check out expandtheboxscore.com. Follow me on Twitter at People's Pen.
Excellent, folks. And of course, I'm Jim Day. You can follow me on Twitter at FantasyTaz. You can find me each weekday, Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock on the Fantasy Football Frenzy on the FNTSY Sports Network. Also going to be doing a Sunday morning show with Joe Pisapia on Sundays coming soon. So definitely pay attention for that. Also have my other podcast on Wednesday nights, the WTF podcast with Tony Sincata and Mike Blewett. We got a lot of things going on over at FF Champs. We've extended our premium promo code for one more weekend, and that's promo code 2019 gets you $40 off a premium membership at FF Champs. Come check it out. Bill Enright, who is the designer of all the great tools at FF Champs, has finished inside the top 10 in draft rankings at Fantasy Pros in the last 3 years running. He's definitely on a hot trend. And, of course, Full-Time Fantasy Podcast Network. We are a proud member of it. There's 17 strong podcasts, and we're still growing. We got a few more coming on soon that is going to change, and definitely a few DFS podcasts coming soon, too. So we got a lot of things coming on. You can follow us on Twitter following the hashtag FTFPodNet. FTFPodNet. So thank you all for spending your Friday night with us, or if you're listening anywhere else, please give us a comment, give us a rating, whatever you could do to help us grow. This is a new show for us, and we really want to get it out there. So anything you could do for that, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend, and enjoy National Draft Weekend. Everybody's drafting this weekend. I know I am. I'm sure you are. Go out and have fun with it, and we will talk to you next week. Have a great one, guys.